Thanks for joining us on Politically Speaking. I'm your host, Priya Sridhar. We're coming to you this week from the East Village. Well, California has a new senator. When Kamala Harris was elected Vice President of the United States, Governor Gavin Newsom appointed then Secretary of State Alex Padilla to the position. I spoke to him one-on-one this week about his new job and much more. I always get a little worried when politicians try to set these really specific timelines. What challenges will President Biden have in executing this timeline, do you think? Like most college campuses across the United States, it's completely empty. With American companies laying off 22 million workers in the last month, seniors looking for a job right now are worried it might not be the best timing. Think about the optics of using people in uniform against Americans who are exercising their First Amendment rights and protesting is just mind-boggling. Out of the 3 supervisor seats that were up for grabs, none of them have officially been called just yet, but here's what we do know. We know that District 1 is going to flip from Republican to Democrat because there were 2 Democratic candidates there, and District 3, which both Democrats and Republicans had a very close eye on, is looking like it's overwhelmingly going in favor of the Democratic candidate, Tara Lawson-Remer. Matthew, I know you have a little bit of a different opinion on schools being reopened. You're a teacher, a high school teacher for 11th and 12th graders. What have you guys been doing so far in the pandemic, and why do you think that schools shouldn't reopen just yet?
Wanted to be able to take care of their employees.
We appreciate your response, and we have so much to get to right now. It's actually time for our rapid fire round. Gentlemen, Mr. Campanizar, sure. Just a minute, we're trying to move on to a new topic. So it's quick questions with quick answers, please. Would you have voted to impeach the president? Mr. Campanizar, let's start with you. As we know, an actual impeachment conviction would be impossible without some Republican senators getting on board. In the House, 10 Republicans broke rank to vote to impeach President Trump. Congressman Issa was not one of them. I asked him why he didn't think impeachment was the appropriate course of action. And I want to ask you about an interview you did on Fox Business recently where you said that, a lot of people are overreacting to what happened last week. Do you think that was a fair way to characterize it?
I think, and I think in my heart,
we've been watching the ongoing situation at the border with the influx of unaccompanied minors, and the federal government simply doesn't have the capacity at the facilities they're currently using to house all of them. So now San Diego is stepping up. Mayor Gloria, thanks so much for joining me. Yeah. And this is Diego, the first dog of San Diego's first television appearance. So
it is.
I'm very excited about that. Yeah.
When you saw the judge deliver the guilty, what was your reaction?
It was mixed emotions because my wife, she actually followed the trial.
Do you think it's important for there to be an avenue here in California to strip officers of their badges if you can prove that there was misconduct? All right, and Ms. Bree, we want to give you an opportunity to talk about how you would tackle the homelessness crisis here in our city. I talked to 2 Republican voters in our area about their thoughts. You both voted for Trump in 2016, but I want to first start out with just telling me, Kimberly, if you would, what attracted you to the Republican Party? Let's start with the lowest risk activity, the beach. Public health experts say when you're choosing between an indoor versus an outdoor activity is likely going to be lower risk. Just remember to maintain social distancing and always follow county rules to keep moving. How about staying in a hotel? The public health experts I spoke with said that when you're in a hotel, you're mostly confined to your room, so you're not coming into contact with very many people, which makes this a low-risk activity. As long as the hotels are following proper cleaning protocols, you should be okay, but remember, common areas can still be problematic.
Your biggest exposures are in the initial reception area when you're being greeted by the people there. The elevators, just recognize any elevator in any setting is a fairly high-risk environment.
Malls are open. This is a tricky one. Experts say overall this is probably a medium risk activity. As long as the malls are playing by the rules, just try to avoid crowded situations.
And those situations can range anywhere from a couple of people in a store and they never interact with one another to a number of people crowding outside a store, and now you have a high risk situation.
What about heading to one of your favorite restaurants? The health experts weighed in and said this is a medium to high risk activity. The important thing to keep in mind is that your server is coming into contact with many guests, and if one of them is asymptomatic, that could be a potential for transmission. They also said to avoid things like passing condiments between tables. And I know we've all been dying to get our hair cut, but remember what I said about restaurants? Your hairdresser is coming into contact with several people throughout the day, and if one of them is asymptomatic, that increases the possibility of the virus spreading without anyone knowing it. That makes this a medium to high risk activity.
Just make sure that that particular place is respectful of the regulations. So that means very likely not using all the chairs in a barbershop or hair salon.
And finally, houses of worship. Experts say this is a high-risk activity. Try to avoid things like choir singing, where we've already seen examples of community spread. And try to think about what type of building your house of worship is in. Is there good ventilation? Priya Sridhar, NBC 7. You never know who you're going to meet on the side of the road, and in the middle of a pandemic, a chance encounter seems even more unlikely. But this is a story about the lengths you'll go for love and the kindness of a stranger.
She was shocked by that. I bet she was.
You wouldn't know it if you saw them, but Rich Farmer and Mike Kane have only known each other for 6 days.
I was hitchhiking. I wanted to go to the 99-cent store.
Yeah, you heard that right. 93-year-old Mike Kane was hitchhiking last Tuesday down the road from his retirement community in San Marcos.
I paused. I'm like, is that guy hitchhiking? So I made a U-turn immediately, went back, and I asked him if he was okay.
That's when he met Rich Farmer. Farmer gave him a lift to the 99-cent store.
I got some hand sanitizer for you, Mike.
After thoroughly sanitizing his car, of course, and was shocked when he found out that Kane just wanted to buy chocolate bars for the love of his life. A nightly tradition the couple shares.
But we don't eat the whole bar. We just eat a couple of them.
Farmer and Kane hit it off. Kane called him up and asked him if he could take him grocery shopping.
He's very unique. I've got rides before like that, but they take me and drop me. But that Rick, he does it 100%. Okay, we'll go with that.
Yeah, that'll work.
It's an unlikely friendship, but Farmer says there was just something about Kane that drew him in.
I was amazed. I'm like, you know, this guy must really be in love with this guy.
At the drop-off, Farmer got to meet that gal of Kane's.
He can go wherever he wants to go. I'd probably have to send the police after him.
The couple say they're touched by Farmer's generosity.
There aren't that many people like Rick in the world.
A new friendship and a forever love. Priya Sridhar, NBC 7.